Hi, welcome to Talk Back Live, a show that gets you involved in live conversation and sports with Brian Camp on Sports Update, bringing you the latest developments in today's world of sports. And now here's your host, Frank Allan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a pleasant night to each and every one of you in your different time zones around the world and across the country. It's Thursday. It's 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. It's Friday morning at 1 a.m. in London, 3 a.m. in Israel, and it's 10 a.m. in Tokyo. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Talk Back Live. This is a show where we get together each week at this particular time, and we come bring you news, all kinds of information and entertainment, and we talk to each other. That's why we call it Talk Back Live. For those of you who have been around with us, you already know the protocol. You know how this whole thing works. So I'm going to take the time to address some of the people who may have just joined us for the very first time, or maybe just about a week ago or so. Let me remind you that each week we come on at this time, and I, as the host of the show, get things started, throw out a conversation, but you can just chime in anytime you want by using your keyboard on your computer, on your tablet, or on your phone, and type in whatever you want to say, and I will see you right there on the big screen. And what I will do at that particular point is acknowledge you, of course, and then we entertain of all of your thoughts and ideas, because that's what this show is all about. Thoughts, ideas, free opinions, and of ideas, all here on Talk Back Live. And of course, we're so glad to have you aboard with us. Don't make it your last time. It may be your first time, but don't make it your last time. And what I would like you to know, too, at the same time, is that we come on 3 different places. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So whatever your choice may be, just follow that and look at your time clock, because you may be in a different time zone. We're coming out of New York. That's where we originate. So therefore, we are on the East Coast, and we're on the Eastern Standard Time. And so with that in mind, that's a different time zone from probably where you are right now. Look at your clock, and whatever time you see right there, that's what we come on every week at this time in your area. And for those of you who are watching us on Facebook, take the time right now to tag all of your friends. Maybe not all, but some of them. You'll select a few, bring them in, tag them, because what happens when you tag them, they'll see that information, that notification coming from you. They'll know it's you because they're your friends, and they'll trust you, and they'll click onto that information, and that will automatically bring them right here to where we are right now. And they can get a chance to talk to us. They'll talk to you. They'll see you, me, and everybody else that's involved here, that's here in the room, and they'll get a chance to talk to everyone. You could talk to each other as well. And excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat right now, so I'm going to try to muddle along through this whole thing. Anyway, with that in mind, you have all of that going on, and they'll see you, and they'll come in, and if they like what they see, if they like what they hear, they'll be here each week, just like you. Hopefully they will be, and we'll have a new addition or new additions to the show. And I just want you guys to know, even though you're new, you're just as important as anyone else who have been here for a long time. And so you can do the same thing, exactly. Just communicate with us. Now, if you're watching us on Facebook, we already told you to tag your friends. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we always encourage you to join us by subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's right there. All you have to do is just take your mouse, drag it on there, take the arrow, click onto it, and that's it. Because when you subscribe to us, that'll give you a chance to know whenever we come on live from here on in, you'll be notified. Providing you're online, you'll see the notification, instant notification will come up letting you know that we're on the air live, or even if we so much as post a video, you get that quick notification right there, and all you have to do is just click onto that notification, and it brings you right to the YouTube channel. And that's all it takes. So that makes you a full-fledged member, and you can pass that information along to your friends as well. If you're watching us on Instagram, you needn't do anything. All you have to do is just keep spreading the word about us. Tell your family, friends, and relatives, and everyone that you know about the show, and get them involved in it too. Because as I said, the more the merrier. And in conjunction with all of this madness of getting together with you and talking to you, we also do our regular routine. For instance, we have sports coming up. Brian Camp comes out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going to link up with him later on in the program. And as a matter of fact, it's not going to be too far away in this particular half hour, as a matter of fact. And he's going to bring you some latest developments in today's world of sports on Sports Update. We'll be glad to hear from him because I'm pretty sure he'll have a lot to talk about in today's world of sports. And when you see him, as a matter of fact, you will, if you're watching us on YouTube and Facebook, you'll get a chance to see him as you'll link up and you'll get a chance to talk to him. If you have any questions about any sports related issues, all you have to do is just do what you do, use your fingers and type. Now, you get the benefit of seeing him if you're on Facebook and YouTube. It's not the same case on Instagram because they're not set up that way. But the good news is that you can still hear everything he says. And you can still talk to him at the same time. You can still ask him questions. All you have to do is just continue to type. And we will relay the question to him, and he'll answer your questions live right here on Talkback Live. So that's all coming up, too. Also coming up later on in the program, we have this thing, what we call This Day in History. We have a list of things that happened on this day in history, on this day, November 16th. I'm pretty sure a lot of things happened on this day in history on the 16th of November. That may be a memorable day for you as well. Also, before the show is over, we have some movies that we have. Now, we take it directly from Turner Classic Movies, right? I always have my picks of the week. And what I do is that I take those picks and I bring them to you. And I have quite a few for today, and I'll let you know more about that. That's all coming up later on, because you may have plans for the weekend and kind of maybe want to catch up on some movies as well, even if you don't have any plans. You may want to take the time to catch up on some old movies you haven't seen in a long time. Well, I'm just going to add the movies that I have for you, my picks of the week, to your bucket list of what to watch this weekend. That's all coming up. It's all right here on Talkback Live. Remember, all of the view and the opinions expressed on the show Talkback Live does not necessarily reflect the view or the opinions of the people of Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Zoom, or any social media outlet or broadcast facilities. So we got all of that out of the way. And again, I want to thank you so much for being, we are so grateful that you also spend the time with us. Now, if you happen to be in a time zone where it's like daylight where you are, and you may be at work or something, stay with us. Stay at your computer and watch the show at the same time. You can do that. That's all right here. We're going to be taking care of a lot of things for you. Well, as you know, we're in the midst this month, this whole month, and the month is practically, we're halfway down the line of the month anyway, put it that way. And this month we're celebrating Native American Heritage Month. So all of our brothers and sisters who were the first settlers in this country, we're kind of celebrating them. And along with Native American Heritage Month, there may be a lot of things to look forward to. I'm sure there are a lot of places where you can go online and check out. Maybe there are festivities that are taking place right throughout the month, celebrating Native American Heritage Month. And of course, there are a lot of TV programs that pay homage to it as well. There's all this week, all this month, it's happening. And so I bring that out to you, and I do that because of the fact that not only because I actually believe in it, also, you know, I have a Native American background, so I am proud to present all of that to you. So I'm pretty sure there are a lot of things to celebrate. There are probably a lot of street fairs and a lot of things that are happening in your area, and you can learn a lot about the Native Americans by going on Google, going online. There's a lot. I know on Facebook they have quite a few websites or Facebook pages for Native Americans. You show photos and give you history, all kinds of things. So that's what we're celebrating this month right here on Talkback Live as well. Want to remind you too to get your flu shots. They're available. If you didn't get it yet, you should have gotten it a long time ago. It's available to you. And of course, you know, I'm pretty sure in certain parts of the country, the weather is really chilly. We get up and down here in New York. We get up and down weather, like we have that yo-yo effect, which is a very good time to take this flu shot, because when you get the yo-yo effect, you know, you're I don't know, you can catch cold very easily because it gets warm, it gets cold, and you don't know how to dress. Well, if you take that flu shot, there may be a good chance that you can beat a lot of that. All right. And all you have to go is to your pharmacist, your favorite pharmacist, and you just ask them. Now, you may have to make an appointment to do it, may not. It depends on where you live. But if you have to make the appointment, make it either online, or maybe you could do it right there on the premises with them when you go there. But whatever it is, whatever the appointment is, whatever the date is, make the appointment and keep the appointment. It's very important. So when that day comes around and you finally take the shot, you'll be in good hands. Also, we still have another one that's available, which is called the COVID-19 shot. That's also available. And it's an update. It's an update version of it, and which is very important. You can take now. You can take both shots at the same time on the same day. It's safe to do that. They tell me you can do that. Or you could just take the shot at one day and maybe make a week or two later, you'll take the other shot. But the important thing is to take the shot. That's very important. And so you go about your day, but make sure part of your day is making the appointment by taking the flu and the COVID shots. They're very important. And we would love you to be healthy and stay healthy, because that's the most important thing. We are so wrapped up into a lot of things that go on and what's happening in this country. And it's safe to tell you now, I have some good news. I kind of question it a little bit, but, you know, of course, as you already know, the bills were signed to avert the government strike, which would have taken place Friday. For us, it's tomorrow. And that would have taken place then, because the government would run out of money. And of course, they would close all the government offices and all of the things that you usually work with. You go to the government office, they'd be closed down. People who work for the government would not get their checks, their paychecks. Airports and all of these places that are run by the government would be delayed because, you know, the government hires these people, especially when it comes to the airline, the people who run the airlines and the traffic controlmen and all of those guys, you know, and that would have made a big difference in your travel arrangement, because you have the Thanksgiving holiday coming up next week, right? And that would have made a big difference. So since we are at the point now where they had signed the bill, and so we don't have to worry about it. And I think, what I believe, I have to double check on it. I think it's another buy time, try to buy more time. I think if that's the case, I have to check into it more. I was looking for the information, but I have to check into it more. But if that's the case, then January, the first part of January, I believe, or the mid part of January would be the next time the government will be possibly shut down, unless it changed. But we'll keep you informed of that. I am going to try to find some more information. So when you watch the coffee hour tomorrow, which I'll tell you more about that later before we go off the air, I will give you that information. I am going to look hard, but for right now, we're doing good. You don't have to worry about any shutdowns or anything. You can do your traveling. The air traffic control people are there. They're right there, and they're going to be there for you, and you'll have your safe travel. And I couldn't, it would have been a very bad time for the government to shut down at this particular time. Because as I said, the holiday weekend is coming up. Next weekend, we have Thanksgiving holiday. And a lot of people have made previous plans to go out of town. People are still making their plans to go out of town. And you may be one of them. So I'm here to give you that good news, is that you don't have to worry about a thing in that situation, because again, there's not going to be a strike Friday, and we bought some pretty good time. So that's good news. Got more good news for you. We're linking up to Charlotte, North Carolina, as I promised you, and Brian Camp is going to be with us. He's here right now with the latest in today's world of sports on Sports Update. Brian, how are you today?
Doing fine. I want to hit on that, um, what you was just talking about. As a former employee of the New York City transit system, every 3 years our contract would have been up, and the contract deadline was always around December 14th, 15th, and it was always during a time of gridlock, rush hour, Christmas, Rockefeller Center with the tree lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And we, as a union, threatened to go on strike. We didn't want to go on strike, but in order to get a good contract, we had the power to shut down New York City. We did so every so often in order for us to get a good contract, because there's one thing that the city, even though we was funded by the state of New York, we represented the city of New York City. We get all funds and everything through the governor, which is upstate New York. What my point is, what I'm trying to say is that we had the power to shut down Midtown Manhattan, all over New York City, where we would threaten to go on strike with the buses and trains. So what that meant was that, hey, you give us a contract, a decent contract, well, we're gonna walk. And each year, I mean, each turn that the 3 years was up, we was ready to go on strike. But there was a time that we did go on strike. It was for a week during the Christmas holiday. But then for some strange reason, our union president sold us out, and one of the agreements was that our contract would no longer be up on December 15th. So that really messed things up and everything. So I'm hoping that it doesn't happen to our government. I hope that there's no shutdown. I believe, if I stand correct, that that anybody that's on SSI or SSD would not be affected. I don't know. I'm not quite sure on that.
No,
Last time I know that it wouldn't be affected. Okay. Okay, there you have it. So we want a peaceful agreement on both sides, between the Democrats and the Republicans. This is an ongoing thing since the beginning of the United States earned their independence back in 1776. So it's just so strange that this here is happening again. But this is just I guess for now, this is just to keep everybody quiet. But be careful. This is during the holidays coming up, so who knows what may happen.
Well, we're pretty safe until January now. But what I'm going to do is, before we do the coffee hour tomorrow, before I go, I'm going to see if I can find out more information whether, when they signed this bill this past week, is that another way of just buying time, so they don't shut it down, or
Right.
if it's the bill that's signed in stone permanently. I have to find that out. But I heard two stories, so I want to find out the real story. Then I'll have that information tomorrow, though.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens and everything. So I just hope that, as New York City is known as as the heartbeat of this country during this time of the year, between Christmas and New Year's, and you wait for the ball to drop for New Year's, and it's just a madhouse and gridlock. Forget it. Don't even think about bringing your car in New York City. It's just not worth it, So let's see what happens. But good evening to you all out there listening. It is a warm 59 degrees out here in this Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. And we went up to 72 degrees today. 72 degrees. It was pleasant weather. And, we just enjoyed ourselves, with this here weather. And we hope that it will continue. This is dangerous weather because it could, it's supposed to be fall going into winter, and you don't know. It's warm one day and then be cold the next. But let's see what happens. But good evening to everybody out there who's watching nationwide, globally, and wherever you are tuned in. We say hello and good evening. In sports, the NBA, former Boston Celtics forward Glenn Baby Davis. Some of y'all might remember him from the 2007-2008 championship series against the Lakers. And former Detroit Pistons Will Bynum were convicted by a New York jury in a scheme that prosecutors said that defrauded an insurance plan for NBA players and their families of more than $5 million. Now, more than 20 people have been convicted who were former players. Many of them were like one-time NBA players who submitted fictitious dental and medical claims to the NBA players' health and benefit welfare plan. So Terrence Williams, who's a 2009 first draft round pick of the New Jersey Nets, was sentenced not too long ago, this past August, to a decade in prison as the ringleader of the scheme. So you have former players, I don't know what these players do with their money. They make pretty good money as professional players, and then I guess after their playing days is over, the greed start coming in, and you start doing things that you're not supposed to. You get caught, you're going to pay the price. In this case, quite a few former players got caught, and they're paying the price now. So, Major League Baseball owners voted unanimously to allow the Oakland Athletics to get out of Oakland and move to Las Vegas. Now, the Oakland Raiders, a couple of years ago, who shared the same stadium with the Oakland A's out in Oakland, California, they could not afford to keep their part of the lease at the stadium that they share with the A's. They decided to move out. They're in Vegas now. The baseball team, the Oakland A's, are now doing the same thing. They got approval. This is the second relocation for a baseball team in the past half century with a potential move, which comes after more than 2 decades of failed efforts to secure a new stadium. Now, I know they've been trying to come up with money and trying to come up with financial help to keep these franchises in Oakland. It did not work. So now they got approved to move to Vegas. So we could say goodbye to the Oakland A's, goodbye to the Oakland Raiders. They're gone. If you go, the only time that you can see sports, go across the bridge into San Francisco. And what bridge is that? That's the Golden Gate Bridge. So that's where we're at now. Baseball, as you know, has not been doing well in like the last 15 to 20 years. They have not been doing well at all. They're losing money. They're not marketing right. So now we're going to lose another baseball team, another franchise to going to relocate to Vegas. Vegas is the hottest spot. Other news in Major League Baseball, the Atlanta Braves will now host a 2025 All-Star Game after 4 years of moving the game from Truist Park to Denver, Colorado. This is the time during when they had the elections back then with, they was going through some scams and with the with the election fraud and everything. And so, but now things is getting back to where they're supposed to. Now it's going to be back in Georgia where they're supposed to be. It was supposed to have been back in the year 2021. Now they're going to get it back for 2025. The NCAA football, Michigan and coach Jim Harbaugh have agreed to the Big Ten 3-game suspension, which means Harbaugh will not coach the last 2 regular season games, which is against Maryland University and their top rival, the Ohio State Buckeyes. You know, that's a game, that's the end of the regular season where these 2 teams, these 2 schools are big rivals, and they're gonna shoot it out, hopefully to get a place in the national championship Final Four, which is now a playoff. So now we hope that they'll be able to meet and settle this. A lot of people are not happy with what's going on with Michigan because, as you know, if you heard, they were caught cheating, stealing signs. It's okay to steal signs, but you cannot send a representative and spy and videotape it. That's colleges and the NCAA have certain guidelines where you can get films, but you got to go through the proper channels. So this is what happens when you get caught. Jim Harbaugh, who was like I said, was the coach, has been suspended again for the second time. He was suspended early in the season, first couple of games. Now he's getting suspended again. Rest assure you, he's not coming back next season. They want him out. They want him out. So the agreement was that they will not do the hearing since they agreed between the college and Jim Harbaugh. They agreed for him to take the 3-game suspension in return that they would close the investigation, which means they will not have a hearing on this. Actually, tomorrow was supposed to be a hearing, but they decided not to. This day in sports, November 16th, 1957, Bill Russell sets an NBA record of 49 rebounds at the Boston Garden. 49 rebounds. That tells you it was some bad shooting back in those days. 1962, speaking about which back during that time, the San Francisco Warriors, Wilt Chamberlain scored 73 points at Madison Square Garden in New York. That's the old Madison Square Garden before they renovated it back later on in the decade. 1966, the Pittsburgh Pirates, Roberto Clemente is named National League MVP. 1969, United States President Richard Nixon, first to attend an NFL game in office. 1976, Rick Barry, San Francisco Warriors ends then, at that point, the longest free throw streak of 60. Calvin Murphy set the record of, I believe it was 91 and 92 straight free throws he hit consecutively later on. I think that was back in the early 80s. 1984, Houston Rockets blocks 20 shots, 20 block shots that tied the Denver record shot in a game. 20 shots is amazing. I mean, it's amazing for one person to get 3 or 4 shots in a game blocked, but it was 20 block shots. 1988, Robin Givens sues Mike Tyson for $125 million. Wow, for a liability. It's a lot of money. If you remember, they was on the Barbara Walters special, and Mike Tyson looked so belittled. He was embarrassed by then wife Robin Givens, and Robin Givens sued him for $125 million. That's a lot of money. I don't know if that's why he became broke, but he became less. It was less money in his pockets. Birthdays today. Happy birthday to the late, great 1946. It was born JoJo White, NBA Olympic gold medalist and NBA champion, was born in St. Louis, Missouri. 1961, Frank Bruno, English boxer, was born in Hammersmith, England. 1964, Dwight Doc Gooden, Major League National League Cy Young Water winner and Major League champion. He's one of the few people to ever get a World Series ring with the Mets and the Yankees. was born in Tampa Bay, Florida. And in 1982, happy birthday to Amari Stoudemire, NBA forward, was born in Lake Wales, Florida. And ladies and gentlemen, that is sports on a busy Thursday night.
Yeah, I remember that interview with Mike Tyson and Robin Givens. You know, you're right. Mike Tyson looked like a beaten man. He wouldn't say much. He looked like the guy that didn't wear the pants in the house. That's what he looked like. You know,
He sure did. He didn't. He was not too comfortable up there.
no.
I mean, if they show you a close up of his expression, was like as though he wanted to say, "I want to punch her out. I want to." Oh, it was so embarrassing for him, and I was afraid. I was actually thought that he would, he had a temper back then. I thought he was really going to do something, but I hope he didn't do it on national TV. I'm glad he didn't do it at all, period. You're not supposed to be putting your hands on a woman, especially a man doing that. But it was just an embarrassing moment for him.
Yeah. I remember that situation well. He even said that a lot of people at that particular point condemn Robin Givens because everyone was saying that she was a gold digger. And she got her mother involved in it. I don't know, maybe her mother was in the background and saying, go get the money or whatever it is. But everybody was just had all of these accusations about Robin Givens. Said, oh, she was in it for the money. She was a gold digger and people didn't like her. I mean, for a minute, I got caught up in the fever, but then I thought about it. I said, what do I know? I don't know anything, what's true, what happened, So I didn't condemn Robin at all after a while, But that was a messy divorce, though. That was
very, very messy. And the thing is, she was coming out and she was getting more roles as an actress.
Yeah.
She was making money, but sometimes you get greedy.
Yeah.
The wealthier you are, the more greedier that you get. And
now, I don't know who was making more
career. Say that again?
No, I said I don't know who was making more money, whether it was Mike Tyson or Robin. I would say at that particular time, maybe Mike Tyson was making more money because I think at the time, wasn't she?
He was.
Yeah, because wasn't she I don't know. That was so long ago. Wasn't she acting on Head of the Class at that time, or maybe it was after that?
You are 100% correct. It was Head of the Class, and she got a couple of TV roles.
Yeah.
Rage in Harlem. I don't know if you remember that movie, Rage in Harlem, with it was an all-star cast.
Yeah.
A lot of stars were in it. And she was doing very well, but her mother was definitely involved in it as well. So that was tough. That was tough. Yeah.
Boy. Wow. So we're gonna lose a baseball team to Las Vegas. So
it's been approved. Now they just gotta make the right to find out, how they're gonna do this, but it's been approved because the Oakland Athletics in Oakland, California, they've been looking for investors to help build a stadium for years. Yeah. This is the same stadium where I believe it was Michael Kay or the Yankee or the Mets broadcast crew found a possum in the booth, either a raccoon or a possum. And you remember that. I'm pretty sure you remember that. That was this year. And it scared the lights out of it. It was scared anybody, but it was time for them to, let go of that stadium. That was an old stadium. It was a historic stadium with the football teams and the baseball teams of years past, of the 70s and the 80s. Yes. Great years.
I guess the possums are protesting, say, you guys get out of here, we're taking over. And I guess the rest is but all right, so now they have a football team and now they're gonna have a baseball team. That means they have two baseball teams. One is a minor league team that's already established there. It's a minor team league for the Mets, and they have their stadium and everything there. So I don't know if maybe they'll play in that stadium. I don't know. I'm wondering where the Raiders, because the Raiders are there now in Las
The
Vegas.
Raiders are there now. I think the name of the stadium is Allegiant Park Stadium.
Well, I passed.
That's the name of the stadium.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up because I did when the last time I was in Vegas. I passed that stadium. I would assume that's it because that's the only stadium that I know of in Las Vegas. And it's a beautiful stadium. But that was basically that Met team for the minor league team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think the minor league team will hold enough for a Major League Baseball team that's drawing. But I think what may happen, what they used to do in the old days, where the two teams of the two sports would share the stadium. Like back in the day, Shea Stadium, it was the New York Mets and the New York Jets. They used to share a stadium. Mm-hmm. Or even go back further, in Yankee Stadium, it was the football New York Giants and the New York Yankees would share a stadium. Same thing in Chicago at Wrigley Field. The Chicago Cubs and the Chicago Bears used to share a stadium. So we have, in the past, that was it. Now, what may happen, they may do that for a couple of seasons like they did with the Mets. The first 2 years when they came out in 1962, they played at the old Polo Grounds until their stadium was about to be built. Then you fast forward to the 70s where the Mets and the Yankees share Shea Stadium while the Yankees was trying to renovate the old Yankee Stadium to the new Yankee Stadium, which came out, I believe, in 1976. That was. So there's possibilities of what may happen with the new stadium for the Oakland A's, but they look like they're on their way.
Well, I'm trying to kick it around in my head right now how baseball is going to improve just because they move from one city to another. How does that, unless better revenue if they're in Las Vegas, because in Las Vegas they have a gaming license there, so you can bet on baseball and all kinds of sports there. Yeah, exactly. And
bullseye, you hit it right. You hit it right on the nose.
And any place else you can't bet on baseball because you get in trouble. But in Vegas, you can bet on anything because they have a gaming license. New York, maybe because New York have like a gaming license for some places. I mean, they have a casino upstate, and then they had a casino where Aqueduct used to be over there. I don't know if that's still there,
right.
But it's a lot. It's a lot of craziness.
Well, in Las Vegas, you can. What people do, they come into town before the baseball season start, and they put a wager on a team that will win the World Series. Yeah. A lot of the big gamblers will go for a long shot. Yeah. The longer shot it is, the more money that they get if they win. Yeah. So by saying this, yes, you're right. What will this bring? It will definitely bring revenue. It will bring more jobs in. So Vegas has always been a town where it draws a lot of people. First thing you think about Vegas, you think about casinos. They got casinos in the airport. They got casinos in the drugstores. I mean, they got slot machines everywhere. So as soon as you get off the plane, in the airport, there's a slot machine. So it's money is a money. That's why they call it the Sin City also, among other things. So yes. So Vegas is doing very well.
It'll probably get to the point, unless it happened yet, because I haven't been there in a few years, but it might get to the point, maybe they'll have slot machines in your room.
Exactly. Exactly. That's an excellent point.
I don't want to give out any idea. The reason why I said that, because I saw a episode of on the Twilight Zone, and this guy didn't want to be in Vegas. He was in Vegas with his wife. He didn't really want to be there, but then a guy gave him a silver dollar, and he put it in the slot machine, and it hit. And then that's how he got addicted. And then at the end of the show, the slot machine was in his room, haunting him. A lot of crazy things. Well,
Yeah.
you have a 2-week break. We're not going to be here next week because of Thanksgiving, right? So we have
gobble gobble.
We have off Thanksgiving. You'll be here tomorrow, though, right?
Tomorrow I might not be here tomorrow. There's a very good chance that I'm not. Okay. But I'm gonna give you my information anyway. Gotta take care of some business, of course, and we'll see. Chances are I'm not going to be here, okay. But you never know with me. If I could tune in, pop in when I'm out of state or out of the country, like I did a couple of weeks ago. Who knows? But right now, it doesn't look like that I will.
Okay, I'll look forward to that information. Other than that, I see you in 2 weeks. Have a great gobble gobble.
Everybody enjoy. Be safe. The holidays is coming. Serious note, the holidays coming up. Be careful. Wear your mask. Wear your mask, especially if you around a large group of people, such as New York City and New Year's Eve and the ball dropping and gridlock. So be safe, everybody, and I'll keep in touch soon, one way or the other.
Okay. Take care of yourself. Talk to you later.
Ladies
and gentlemen, that's Brian Camp, ladies and gentlemen, with the latest developments in today's world of sports on Sports Update, of course. And he's here each week at this time. He may not be here tomorrow. But he's got a whole 2 weeks off. And after I do the show tomorrow, I have 2 weeks off as well because of the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Of course, I think we deserve it, right? Sure. Anyway, we are here. The name of the show is called Talk Back Live. And hello, Mickey Jones out of Raleigh, North Carolina. How are you today? I hope everything is fine. He's watching us on Instagram, just like a lot of you guys are. And we want to just say, hey, by the way, Mickey, you got that holiday coming up. I hope you're not working. Enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday weekend. It's a good thing to know, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're not going to have a strike. We're not going to have we bought more time. So there's not going to be a government strike. So therefore, the airports are there. The traffic control men are there. They're going to be guiding you along. And like I said, if this had been a strike, it would have been a bad time to strike because that would have put a damper on a lot of your travel, particularly if you're flying. All right, but we bought a little more time. And tomorrow on the show, I'll see if I can. I'll try my best to get further information on whether this bill signing, unless of course someone knows more than me by now, whether this bill signing is in stone and it's going to take us to however long it's going to be, or is it up until January? I heard both stories, but I want to get the true story. Anyway, the name of the show is called Talk Back Live, and we're going to be with you until the top of the hour. We thank you so much for being along with us. Just in case you're just joining us for the first time, we're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And of course, we thank you so much for being along with us and talking all of the sports with Brian. Boy, you get wrapped up into a lot of things until you go overtime, but we still have time left. But right now, it's time to give you on what's on this day in history. All right. Well, on this day in history in 1935, Cole Porter's musical Anything Goes closes at the 46th Street Theater in New York City after 420 performances. On this day in history in 1959, The Sound of Music, a musical by Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein, opens at the L'Enfontaine Theater in New York City, and it runs for 1,443 performances. On this day in history, in 1960, U.S. Marshals escort 4 6-year-old African-American girls to previous all-white public schools in New Orleans in response to death threats against the girls and race riots. On this day in history, back in 1964, Radio CJCX in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and that's in Canada, they start their shortwave transmission. Back in 1966, the Greatest Hits album by The Temptations is released, and it made the Billboard Album of the Year in 1967. Back in 1972, Elektra Records releases No Secrets. That's the third studio album by singer-songwriter Carly Simon, and it made her a commercial breakthrough. Spends 5 weeks at the top of the US charts and contains the hit singles, You're So Vain and Right Thing to Do. In 1973, Apple Records releases John Lennon's fourth studio album, Mind Games, in the UK. In 1973, US President Richard Nixon makes it perfectly clear and authorizes construction of the Alaskan pipeline. In 1979, Paul McCartney releases Wonderful Christmas. In 1985, US President Ronald Reagan arrives in Geneva for a summit with the Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. And back in 1989, Gypsy opens at the St. James Theater in New York City for 477 performances. In 1999, the Chronic 2001 second studio album by rapper Dr. Dre is released. And in the year 2000, Bill Clinton becomes the first US president to visit Vietnam since the end of the Vietnam War. Actor Burgess Meredith was born on this day in 1907 in Cleveland, Ohio. He died September 9th, 1997 at the age of 89 years old from complications of Alzheimer's disease and melanoma. An actress, Lisa Bonet, was born on this day in 1967 in San Francisco, California. She's 56 today. And since we're talking about Lisa Bonet, in 1987, she marries Lenny Kravitz. Back in 1993, actor Jim Carrey files for divorce from Melissa Woma, and they got married. They divorced after 6 years of marriage. And let's see, in 2023, actor, we did that right, 2010, actor, let's move on. In year 2010, singer-songwriter Avril Lavigne divorces singer and guitarist Derek Wembley after 3 years of marriage. Actor Clark Gable was died on this day in 1960 at the age of 59 years old. He was born February 1st in 1901, and his birthplace was in Cadiz, Ohio. In 2001, jazz pianist Tommy Flanagan dies on this day. He was born in 1930. And finally, 2005, Ralph Edwards, American TV host of This Is Your Life, dies at the age of 92 years old. And that's this day in history. And if you know anything further on this day in history that I didn't mention and that you probably know about, if you want to let us know, you can do that right now. Type it in. I'll see it right there. And we will convey it to the viewing audience. And they'll probably see it anyway, because when you type it in, everyone will see it. But for the benefit of the people who are watching us on Instagram, they won't get a chance to see it because they're a whole different ball game over there, but we'll relate to whatever, okay? And that's it. And those of you who want to get in touch with me personally, I have two sources. I have an email address and a telephone number, and I hope that you use it. And I'll give you the email address first of all. The email address is Frank Allan Prod. Allan is spelled A-L-L-A-N. Prod is P-R-O-D. That's short for Productions. Frank Allan Prod at AOL.com. That's Frank Allan Prod at AOL.com. The telephone number is 641-715-3900, extension 467134. That's 641-715-3900, extension 467134. Now, if you call and email, you may do that for a purpose. Maybe you want to email and let us know that you're watching us and you have questions about the show, or maybe you want to critique the show. We listen to you there in that department too. Maybe even have suggestions about the show, or maybe there's a guest that you would like to see here on the show, and we can try all of that. You know, anything that you want to talk about, that venue is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. In other words, we never close. We're always there anytime you want. So you can email us or call us. So let me give you that email address once again. It's frankallenprod@aol.com. That's frankallenprod@aol.com. The telephone number is 641-715-3900, extension 467134. That's 641-715-3900, extension 467134. You heard about the situations. They keep going on and on. Truth Social, AKA, I call it Lie Social. That's 345/666 Beast Incarnate with the number, his prison number, which he'll be wearing pretty soon. Well, we'll see. But just in case you're interested, his number that he'll be wearing on his orange jumpsuit is P01135809. That's his inmate number. Anyway, I just figured I'd just throw that out there for you, just in case you wanted to know. Maybe you didn't want to know. Anyway, his Truth Social, his Lie Social, that I call it, it says here that it has lost $31.6 million already during the launch in the early of last year, or of this year, I would say. So what that means, if he doesn't get on the ball or whatever's going on here, he could be forced to close Truth Social, and then maybe now he'll have to go back to Twitter, which is no longer Twitter, it's X now. You know, it's confusing. I mean, this guy, he buys Twitter for $44 billion. And now I understand that Elon Musk, his Twitter or his X or whatever it is now worth half of what he paid for. It's worth half of what he paid for. Again, he paid $44 billion. And of course, when it was Twitter, I used to be on Twitter too, but when all of this crap came down, I took myself off. A lot of people that I know distanced themselves from it. They no longer use it because the way it is now. But anyway, Truth Social, Lie Social, whatever you want to call it, is losing a lot of money. $31.6 million since the launch day in the beginning of the year. It's crazy. You know, chickens come home to roost. We already know that. That already happens. You know, chicken comes home to roost. And as far as, and since we're mentioning 345/666 Beast Incarnate, I heard the story earlier this week. Fonnie Willis, who's working on this case as well, now she's predicting that this case probably won't end until 2025, which is not very good news. All right. Because this guy, this clown, this loser may wind up in the White House once again. We don't know. Letitia James, because he had already filed, his attorney already filed earlier this week to in New York to make it a mistrial for the case in New York. Letitia James is not having it. She says, no deal. Deal is off. And there's so many things going on in the Republican Party. You already heard today, George Santos, right? George Santos is not going to rerun for his office. And in the meantime, they're going to try to get him out before he actually retires. You know, and the reason why he's not going to rerun because of the situation that's happened. You already heard the story that they found definitely that he was using those funds that were coming in, those generated funds that were coming in, and he was using it for his own purpose, you know, his own particular gain, his own particular purpose, whatever that was, maybe dining and dancing or whatever he was using it for, it was for a purpose. So they caught him on that. The law catches up with you after a while. So I think he's kind of sort of embarrassed about it. So he decided, he made the announcement today that he is not going to run or make a rerun for his particular post. But at the same time, they're going to try to get him out of there even earlier than that. And, you know, the clown show that goes on in the Republican Party, of course, you already heard about it. The Republican U.S. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen nearly got into a fist fight with the Teamsters Union, Sean O'Brien. Probably saw it on TV. They showed the clips on it. And that happened Tuesday. It was all over a Twitter fight. See, we don't use these social media outlets responsibly. So they got into a Twitter fight. And then when they finally met, you know, he read off Mark Wayne Mullen, read off the Twitter thing that he had. And it says like this, and I quote, it says, "Quite the tough guy act." Oh, no, he says, "Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me, any place, anytime, cowboy." And he read that in the Senate hearing in the U.S. Capitol. And then he had challenged him. And they said, "Stand up, stand your butt up." And he says, "No, you stand your butt up." And he was getting ready to charge him, got up out of his seat. And we want to thank Bernie Sanders for coming to the rescue. He says, sit down, you're a U.S. Senator, sit down. He was calming down these little boys. And of course, you heard about the situation. Tim Burchett was doing an interview with a reporter, and Kevin McCarthy came over, allegedly poked him in the kidneys. You see, these guys, they act like little boys and little girls, right? And so while the Republican Party are fighting, I guess the Democrats are waiting their turn, you know, and I said it before and I'll say it again. Each week I say it, is that at the end of this whole thing, you know, everybody's worrying about Trump becoming president again. That's not going to happen. I stick to my guns. That's not going to happen. It could happen, but I don't think it will. He can't win. He's got too many things on his plate. I think he should concentrate on staying his butt out of jail, wearing that jumpsuit, which, by the way, that's going to happen anyway. And you heard what he said. He's already saying, you know, when he becomes president, he is going to do this, he's going to do that. He uses the word vermin, which, by the way, they used back then. Mussolini used it, and Hitler used it. So those are his buddies. Those are his buddies. The beat goes on. And as the beat goes on, we want to talk about those movies we were telling you about. I want to quickly tell you about that. I have 6 movies I want to tell you about. So let's get started with them right now for your pleasure for the weekend. Your weekend is coming up. First of all, we have Taxi Driver that goes back to 1976 with Robert De Niro, Jodie Foster, and Sybil Shepherd. That's on Turner Classic Movies. That's Friday, 11:45 p.m. Eastern. You're going to stay up late for that? If not, you can DVR it. Here's a movie that I love so much. I watch it a lot. It's called DOA, 1949, with Edmund O'Brien, Pamela Britton, and Luther Adler. That's on Turner Classic Movies. That's Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, a great afternoon movie. The Invisible Man from 1933 with Claude Rains and Gloria Stewart, along with Henry Travis. That's on Turner Classic Movies. That's Saturday at 6:30 p.m. And Dressed to Kill from 1980, Michael Caine and Angie Dickinson, along with Nancy Allan, who, by the way, is no relation. That's Turner Classic Movies, Sunday at 1:45 a.m. Eastern. You don't want to stay up that late, so you can DVR that too. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf from 1966. Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, and George Segal. That's Turner Classic Movies, Sunday at 1:15 p.m. Eastern. And finally, another classic that I think you all like, Carmen Jones from 1954, Dorothy Dandridge, Harry Belafonte, and Pearl Bailey. That's Turner Classic Movies. That's Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And of course, I hope that you get a chance to watch these movies. They're right there. You can go to Turner Classic Movies and go through the program guide and check out other movies that I didn't mention. Not that I don't like them, only because of the fact these are my picks of the week. But you may see something else that you may like and want to see. And of course, I hope you get a chance to see it. That's going to wrap it up for me, ladies and gentlemen. I am getting out of here, but you know what? I'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern for the coffee hour. And of course, I am going to be here, possibly covering for Brian Camp with sports, and I hope that you will be here too. Now, we're going to take the next week off. So we won't be here next week, next Thursday, because of the holiday, but we will be doing a rerun of a show called Talk Back Live Flashback. We'll have you look out for that. Other than that, and then we're going to be taking off. So next week, the following week after that, we'll be back. All right, for more of Talk Back Live. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Don't eat too much. You know, a glutton is a sin. Don't eat too much. All right. And we'll see you back here when we get back. So you take care of yourself. Have a great day, a great morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to each and every one of you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
You've been watching Talk Back Live with your host, Frank Allen. The producer is Al Dale. Technical assistant, Dave Taylor. Research by Sandy Pierce. And I'm your announcer, Donna Stenke. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Talk Back Live.